Woos. What are the steps to becoming a martial artist? So these are the steps I took in my journey to becoming a martial artist, right? To someone else, it could be different or they might have different steps. But in my opinion, I think these are important steps that you need to have, right? To becoming a martial artist. As far as teaching somebody the martial arts and also running a school and also for self-defense purposes. So this is just my opinion. I'm not putting on any other martial artist. I'm not putting on any teacher. I'm just sharing my journey, right? So I've been studying martial arts for 33 years now, right? And through my journey, I started out traditionally, which I am still traditional, but I also add to my traditional martial arts different types of martial art styles, different aspects of the martial arts, which is important. It's good to train as much different styles as you can, right? Because when you train different styles, it gives you better understanding of the martial arts because there's always something different in every style that you can learn, right? Meditation, important. That's part of the martial arts. Before and after, like I mentioned before, very important, right? The spiritual aspect of the martial arts, important, mentally, physically. But also, there's a self-defense aspect of the martial arts, where you use the martial arts to defend yourself, which entails punching, kicking, blocking, weapon defense, whatever it takes to defend yourself, right? That's part of the martial arts too. Now, a lot of people will train martial arts for different reasons. They will train it just for the spiritual aspect of it, for the meditation aspect, which you can find through the movements, through the katas, which you're still developing the self-defense aspect by doing the movements, right? So you're still getting the self-defense training. Now, as I mentioned, this all depends on what you want out of the martial arts, right? If you're trying to sell your martial arts as this street fighting, self-defense, for women and kids to come in and learn from, you yourself have to be prepared for that situation, right? So what I'm saying that is all depends on what you're promoting. If you're promoting just for meditation only, and it doesn't entail combat, right? Then that's different. If you're just promoting for forms only and katas, and you're still learning the self-defense, but it doesn't entail combat, like fighting, then that's a whole different thing. But whenever you're promoting and pushing combat for street fighting, then that's a complete different thing, right? Food, what you put into your body, is the number one thing. That's very important too. How you fuel in your body is part of being a martial artist. That's a step to being a martial artist. If you don't take care of your body, you won't be able to train martial arts. You won't be able to express yourself when you need to, right? If you don't fuel your body properly with the right type of food, right? How you are going to set an example for other kids and other people that you're trying to train. You have to set an example, right? You have to show that how you fuel your body, what you put in, that's what you're going to get out. So for me, in my opinion, this is how I fuel my body. Is on a raw food, vegan lifestyle. So a lot of, nuts, seeds, dates, spinach, kale, romaine lettuce, strawberries, apples, tangerines, cucumbers, name it. Any fruit, vegetables that are in season. That's how I fuel my body, right? Again, for somebody else, that could be different. Maybe somebody have a different step to becoming a martial artist. But this is my steps to becoming a martial artist. What you put into your body is the most important thing. Whatever you put in, that's what you're going to get out, right? Keeping in shape, keeping your body physically in shape, When you're physically in shape, it will then go to your mental state. The mental goes to the physical, so it's back and forward. So if you're not physically in shape, meaning, daily exercises, every other day you exercise, running, jogging, jump rope, riding bicycle, whatever physical activity that entails you to sweat and keep the body in shape is important. That's a step in towards being a martial artist. So the food combined with the exercises, is a step to becoming a martial artist. And that's also with the martial arts training, with the katas, you're working your techniques, sparring, that step to becoming a martial artist. Now, like what I mentioned, I said it depends on what you're promoting to the public. Are you promoting for self-defense, street defense aspect, or are you promoting for just for a spiritual aspect, right? Where it doesn't entail competition really, right? That's different. But on my journey, the steps to becoming a martial artist, you need some form of competition. I started competing way back from early 1991, right? Competition is not bad. It's not a bad thing, right? Through competition, you will develop self-control, self-confidence in what you're doing, in what you're training. So you need to understand that, yeah, you're learning martial arts, but if you never test your techniques, you never test your punching, your kicking, and your movement, you will never understand what it feels like when you do have to use it. So through competition, you compete against different people, different sizes, different weight, right? And you develop that confidence, that discipline, and the control, when you're throwing the techniques. And when you have all that through the years of competing, it will help you to develop yourself into a better martial artist. Trust me on this. I've been through it. It will make things a lot easier for you too, because you will have the confidence in yourself and you will have nothing to prove anymore because you've already been through that journey, right? If you don't go through the competition aspect, then you will always be second guessing yourself, like, can I really fight? And it will make you arrogant because you've never been through that, right? And it doesn't matter where you get it from. You could get it from point sparring, you could get it from MMA, get it from kickboxing tournaments. Just go out there and compete. They say competition is good for the soul, right? You're not trying to kill your opponent or harm your opponent, but what you're doing, you're developing the skills, the steps to becoming a better martial artist, right? This could be Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it could be Taekwondo, whatever martial arts, take it up and practice it because it's going to be helpful. It's going to guide you on that journey towards being a better martial artist. And there's some competitions that you're going to lose. You're not going to win every competition. I lose a couple competitions already. I've got knocked down, I got submitted. You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is. But the important thing that you never give up and you go back and compete again, because that's what's going to make you a better martial artist, right? And you don't look up at it as like, oh man, I lose, I suck, whatever. No, that's just part of the journey, man. You have to go through certain steps in order to get to where you want to get to. So competition is on one of my lists on steps to becoming a martial artist. Very important, because as I said, through the competition, you will learn how to gauge your opponent. You will learn the distance and you will learn the range, the timing that you need to competing against different people. Everybody is going to be different, right? Not everybody going to be the same. And this is very important for self-defense reasons, right? Because through the competition, it will set you up for a real life situation. It's kind of like a simulation, as I mentioned before in my videos. It's kind of like you have a gun, but you never practice in shooting it. It's the same thing, is that you're doing martial arts, but you never practice punching and kicking at full range in training, right? Or competing. You never done that. But you're a martial artist, but those other aspects, you have never done it. But you just train alone in your garage, or you just have a school where you just train with one person every day. You're not learning like that. You're not gaining anything from that, and it's not making you a better martial artist. If it's anything, it's hindering you. It's hindering your ability, right? Because you could be way better than you are, but you never took a chance to say, hey, let me, try competing with some other people, mix it up a little bit, do something that I've never done before to add to my game. Like me, I was always a stand-up fighter, a martial artist. I could punch and kick, but I never knew anything about the ground. So I had to take that step, right? And learn the ground, right? It was rough because I was kind of arrogant, and I would go in there and challenge the resident jiu-jitsu guys, and then I would get jacked up. I'd get my gi torn up. I get submitted real quick, and that will humble you. And this happened back in, I believe, 2001. It could be 99, 2000s. That's a humbling experience, and you learn a lot from that. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. That, yeah, you study martial arts, but there are millions of other people out there who study martial arts too. And there's a lot that you can learn from somebody else, just as well as somebody else can learn something from you. So if you want to be the best you can be and be, known as a great martial artist, you need to learn from other people also. And competition is where it starts, and that's one of the steps, like I mentioned, right? Street fighting, I'm not saying to get into a street fight now, but if you have gotten into a street fight, that's also good, right? I've gotten into street fights before, right? And when you get into street fights, sometimes you think that what you learn in your martial arts school, that's what you're going to use, but it turns out differently. You end up might be hugging the person, just throwing knees, or you might end up just biting the person, right? So it could be one of those things where, getting into a street fight is also a step towards being a good martial artist. Now, I'm not telling you to go out there and pick fights, because martial arts is for self-defense only. But if you ever got into a street fight way back, even before you did martial arts, that's also a step towards being a martial artist, because that will give you the experience for a real life situation. I'm talking about real life situations now, as I mentioned. It all depends on what you want out of the martial arts. If you only want just the meditation aspect, for healing, doing katas and forms, that's fine. And you don't want to worry about defending yourself. You probably just use a gun. I mean, that's cool. But if you're trying to promote self-defense and street combat, you're gonna have to put yourself in situation where you're under pressure. Under pressure, that's the next step. You need to be under pressure, meaning that you need to be pushed on a daily basis. That's through competition again. That's through competing with other people that are way ahead of you on techniques and skills, that give you a challenge to where you might get submitted or you might even get knocked down. That will help you to become a better martial artist. Being under pressure is something that you can't explain unless you've been in it, right? If you have never been under pressure, meaning that you could be on the ground just getting ground and pounded or punched, and you have nothing left in your tank, nothing left in your hands are tired, you're completely out, and you just have to survive. That's being under pressure, because that will help you in a real life situation when it comes to street combat, right? Being in a situation where you're tired, you have nothing left in you, and your punches don't work anymore, your hands are heavy, your legs are heavy, you barely can move. That's being under pressure, and the guy is just kicking the hell out of you. But you have to find a way, dig down deep inside to not give up. That's being under pressure, right? Fighting for your life. That's being under pressure. That's the next step to becoming a martial artist. To be able to handle the pressure of being in a situation that, your punches don't work, your kick don't work anymore, you're on your back, you're on your belly, but you have to fight your way out of it, right? That's being under pressure. So my steps that I have so far is the meditation, right? Traditional martial arts, all depending on what you want out of it. Then it goes into the eating aspect, how you're fueling your body, how you maintain your body on a daily basis through exercising, right? Keeping up your body, right? Then the competition aspect, right? Then if you ever had a street fight, not saying that you need to have a street fight, but it'd be good if you had a street fight, right? Because martial arts is for self-defense purposes. But if you happen to get in a street fight early in your life, then that could be helpful. Then you have the pressure, right? That's the next step. Those are the things that I've been through in my journey to becoming the martial artist that I am now. And that's why I could talk about it, and I could show videos, I could show pictures, I could teach anybody I want to teach and guide them in the right path, right? Because I've been through the journey and understand, what it takes to becoming a martial artist, right? There is no shortcut to anything. You have to train, and it all depends on what you want out of it and what you're trying to promote, right? As I said, if you're promoting street fighting combats, having some competition under your belt would be a great thing to do, right? Also training different aspects of the martial arts and training, competing, sparring with different martial artists on a daily basis. And when I mean by sparring, I mean people who know what they're doing, right? People who have more experience probably than you do, right? Who are going to push you, who are going to make you break under pressure, right? Where you have to fight for your life. If you haven't experienced that, then you will never know what it feels like. Just like any other thing you're doing in life, right? Experience is important, right? So if you're trying to teach something for self-defense, which entail street fighting, how are you going to teach somebody how to defend themselves in the street if you yourself have never been in any competition, you've never been tested to a point where you're exhausted, to where you've been pushed, you've been put under pressure to where you want to quit. You've never been in any of that situation. You never trained with other martial artists who are going to push you to the limit of exhaustion. You never had that. How are you going to teach somebody street combat? Does it make any sense? That's why I say there is steps to becoming a martial artist that you need to go through in order if you want to teach somebody and even run a school.